I'm joined by University of Central Oklahoma All-American quarterback Jett Huff. Jett, thank you for taking time this evening to come on and talk to me. Could you start by telling the viewers and listeners a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, for sure. I'm Jett Huff, quarterback at UCO. I grew up mostly in Texas, a little bit in Oklahoma, in Midwest City, before we moved to College Station, Texas. I played for my dad in high school. I've been playing football since I was, a little kid. I love the game. And after high school, I went to Houston for 2 years, and after Houston, decided it's time to leave, and came to UCO, and here I am now.
And what was that move like for you going from Midwest City to not just another place in Oklahoma, but an entirely different state?
Yeah, I was pretty young, so at the time I was like pretty excited for it. And it was a brand new school. My dad was the first head coach there. Brand new facilities, brand new field, and it was really awesome to see the difference between Oklahoma high school football and Texas high school football. Even though I know both states have came a long way since 2012, but just really interesting to see both sides of it.
And playing for your dad, I feel like regardless of level, that can be tough in general. But here you are, the quarterback as well. Kind of talk about what that experience was like. What the challenges of playing for your father.
Yeah, my dad was. I mean, I still think today, my dad's the best coach I've ever had, and I think he probably always will be. But he was as tough on me as he was anybody else, and I always appreciated his ability to treat me just like the rest of the team, because that's what I wanted anyways. But just growing up, seeing him, how he handled his business, and how he went about things on a daily basis, and how he ended up, becoming successful as a coach, really inspired me, and it made me want to be better. So I had the best experience, playing for my dad.
And I think you started as a sophomore. Now I have to add, and it's a big so as a big shoulder to burden. Here you're a quarterback playing for your son, and playing for your father, but also as a sophomore. Kind of what was that experience like? Your first year starting varsity.
Yeah, it was really cool. My class in high school, we had about 10 guys that were on varsity as sophomores, which I don't think is very common, especially in Texas. So I was happy I wasn't in it alone. It was me and nine other of some of my really good friends. But for sure, I was just so young, and hadn't never done it before. It was just a whole new experience, playing in front of a crowd like that, and just having more responsibility, I guess. Just in general, it was definitely a learning experience. I played in and out sophomore year, started 7 games or so, but definitely learned a lot that year. Just seeing what it was like to have to lead a big program like that.
Did it ever get to a point where it was overwhelming for you, or did what were you kind of able to take it in stride? Like how did you kind of navigate that?
Yeah, it was a little overwhelming maybe towards the end, um, but there for a couple weeks, we caught stride pretty good, and our run game was really good when I was in high school, and so that took a little bit of responsibility off my shoulders. It really helps a young sophomore, when he can hand the ball off, and we can be successful. But it was definitely just a lot to deal with for sure. But I was always thankful and appreciative to be out there, and just trying to learn and get better every week.
And then just a few short years later, you made it to the state championship game. You won 15 games at 43 touchdowns, over 3,157 yards. What kind of was the keys to you all's success that season, being able to win 15 games, making it all the way to the state championship?
Well, there's really no other way to put it. We were pretty loaded with talent. Um, we ended up having, I think it was 25 guys go play college football on that team, and not only that, there was a group of guys in there that have been playing together for about 10 years, and just countless reps and you know not even on the field, but just seeing each other off the field. I mean, we were all best friends, and we had been doing it for so long. Just when senior year came around and we were final form, it kind of just felt like a seamless process of going out and winning games, just because of the process of working all those years. But we had great players, and our coaching staff was top notch, but as good as it gets, top to bottom for high school football. Everybody in the program was, committed and worked day in and day out. And I really think, it started with my dad. I mean, it's his program, and so I love to give him credit. And he really ran the show, and it was just a combination of those things that helped us get to where we were at.
And playing in Jerry's world, what was that experience like?
Oh, it was awesome, and it was packed in there. I know our side, it was full of purple, almost all the way to the top. I'd never seen anything like it. But the game just went by so fast. I think some of those big games do, because you just don't really realize till it's over. Wow, I just played in Jerrysville the state championship game. But it was I'll never forget that experience. It was as good as it's going to get as far as high school football.
And when you look back on your high school career, I guess what kind of sticks out to you the most, or do you take away most from that time in your life?
When I think about it, I'm just really thankful that I was put in such a good situation in high school, and I got to play with some of the guys I got to play with. Um, Not only because we were good, but they were just great guys and great friends, and everybody came to the building every day ready to work and ready to find a way to win each week. And I hear all the time guys had bad high school experiences and didn't like their coach, or didn't wasn't really close to their teammates. And all I can think about is, well, I must have gotten really lucky, because I feel like I had it as good as anybody can have it. And so I'm always thankful for that time, and how it kind of shaped me into who I am now.
And so after that, you decided to begin your career at Houston. What was it about Houston that made you say, okay, this is where I want to start my collegiate career?
Well, I think when we're all seniors in high school, we all think we could play at the highest level. Um, we're all confident enough in ourselves to say that, yeah, I can go do it. I'm just as good as them. And it was probably a little bit of that for sure. It was also close to home at the time. And I also wanted to be a college coach when I first was graduating high school. And so I kind of figured, well, even if I end up not playing, I still can just stay there for 4 to 5 years, and eventually just join staff and start my career. So a little bit of combination of all those things.
And what was it like? I guess playing for Coach Holgerson, kind of being in, because like I think a lot of us remember him from West Virginia and the Geno Smiths and the high flying offenses, even with like Clayton Tune and such. What was it like playing for him and learning from him?
Yeah, it was awesome. I loved Coach Holgerson, and when you first meet him, it feels like you're never going to get close to this guy. Um, but over the 2 years I was there, I just got closer and closer, and I ended up, really, really liking Coach Holgerson, and everybody on his staff. They were all great. And when we would watch film and we would install plays, we're putting in stuff from what they were in at West Virginia, and we're watching, Geno Smith and Tavon Austin and Will Greer and David Sills, and I'm just like, this is really special to learn from, because I know we all grew up watching those guys and seeing how good they were, and to look across the room, and that guy over there is the one that coached them and got them to the league. It was, it all you had to do is really appreciate it at the time, and I did. But Coach Holgerson was great. The staff was great. That offense that he runs is special, and I know he's going to get it going at Nebraska too.
And so now earlier you mentioned that you were kind of just content to be there for 4 or 5 years, get on staff and start coaching. At some point though, you decided to deviate from that plan and transfer. What kind of went into your decision to leave Houston after 2 years?
I kind of figured out I didn't think I wanted to coach college football. I just wasn't sure that it was for me. Seeing those guys every day. I just did not think that I would want to do that when I graduated. So that kind of was one reason why I figured I don't need to stay here. But another reason was just coming home every day and knowing, I'm never going to play here. I'm never going to take meaningful reps. And I was told that, and I do appreciate, I always tell people I appreciate, their honesty. But I get home every day after, long practice, and I just know that, what is it really for at the end of the day? I'm not getting to where I want to be. And I'd become a little lazy, to be quite honest with you. Just, not much light at the end of the tunnel. I'm not sure if I was ever going to play. So it kind of just gave me a reason to not give it my best. And it kind of hit me one day. I just realized, I go there every day. I go through the motions. And I'm thankful to be there, and I had great friends and good coaches, but it's not fulfilling to me. And I figured I just want to give myself a chance. I just want to love it again and be able to go actually compete and not just know it was never going to work out. And that's kind of when I decided I was going to have to move on.
And so now, what was your experience in the portal like for you? How kind of did you come to the decision that UCO was the best fit for you?
Yeah, the portal for me really didn't last very long. It only lasted about a week, I think. And one of the first days I entered the portal, I got a call from Coach Brenningstool, and he called me and kind of gave me the rundown on how the offense was going to change. And Coach Doral also called me, told me the same thing. Just told me, hey, we're changing the offense that suits you, and we're going to give you a chance to earn the job. And I had already visited UCO when I was in high school. Coach Doral offered me. Obviously, decided that wasn't the place I wanted to go back then. And second time around, I'd already visited, and I knew it was going to be a good fit, close to some family up here too. So I pulled the trigger pretty quick.
And were you surprised to get that call from them so early after you entered the portal, or were you kind of expecting those calls to come rather quickly?
I think I was surprised at every call. Honestly, I had obviously never been in the portal. I had no idea what it was going to be like. I had no idea who I was going to hear from. And so I think every coach that reached out, I just tried to, hear what they had to say and kind of weigh options. But it ended up being almost every coach from my high school recruitment that reached out in the portal, which I think, we're starting to see more and more. Lots of these kids I know, like transferring to UCO, they kind of did the same thing that I did, went to a bigger school, and now they're transferring back down. But if you go back and look, UCO offered them a year or two ago. So it was really lots of the same coaches that had offered me in high school.
And so you get to Edmond, and now you got to learn, I guess, a new group of guys. You got to earn trust, build camaraderie. How did you go about doing that, trying to earn your teammates' trust and kind of showing them what you can do?
Yeah, well, when you first get to a new school, you're absolutely entitled to nothing. So the first, month or two I was there, I just tried to be quiet and work hard, honestly. I had a couple friends, and I tried to get to know the guys, but I just tried to, kind of just shut my mouth and just show that I'm a worker. And then after that, then we could take care of ball. Um, but it was a big process, and just doing it for a second time was interesting. Just getting to know a whole new group of guys and proving to them that I can work hard and I can play football too. Um, but this time I knew that it was just more meaningful, knowing that I actually had a chance this time. So maybe it made me work a little bit harder, be a little bit more intentional, and practice and whatnot. But it was really, and they really took me under their wing, and I appreciate everybody that treated me as well as they did when I got here. So without the team, it doesn't happen that smoothly.
When you sign, I was like, I knew we would bring in somebody that had collegiate experience, whether that be at the junior college level, at another college, because of the fact we really only had Dawson back that had experience. I think some of us maybe thought Dawson was maybe be in pole position, have a little bit of a lead. So when we came to Langston and you were the starter, I know it caught some people off guard. Kind of talk about what that position battle was like with Dawson, and kind of how you all were able to handle that and remain supportive and really good teammates.
Yeah, well, it started in the spring really, and we took equal reps, and we were both told, hey, the job's open, and we took equal reps, and same thing in the summer, and same thing in fall camp. But I think one thing that made it special was that we really did try to help each other. We wanted each other to succeed at the end of the day, and there was never a moment in there where there was any animosity between between the two of us. It was just always positive, always trying to help each other, and both lead the team and just treat it like we were both going to play. And um, I think that's what made it so good. And I'm really really appreciative of him, just for bringing me in and helping me. And he could have treated me a lot worse. I know he's a 6-year senior. They bring a young kid in. They tell you, you guys are going to compete. He took it so much better than I probably would, to be quite honest with you. Um, and I'm just really thankful for him, helping me, teaching me things, and he really did help a lot. We ended up being really good friends, and he ended up living with me for a month after the season was over. So even after ball, we're still really good buddies. So it was just really really fun, and then it was a unique time with him.
And when did you learn that you had won that position battle and would be the starting quarterback heading into the season?
I think I did, pretty early in the Langston week. I think they wanted, let fall camp finish. We were just going to finish everything out, and then, once it was time to move focus to Langston, they let me know.
And now earning that starting job after not playing for a couple of years, you say you kind of were going through the motions. What did that mean to you to not only win that battle, but now know like you're going to be seeing meaningful snaps and leading a football program?
Yeah, it meant so much to me because this is what I came here for, really. And this is why I wanted to play college football. It was, you learn that it wasn't about playing in the Big 12 or getting gear and going to bowl games and flashy things like that. It was about, stepping on the field and playing. And I should have appreciated it more in high school, going and then going 2 years without ever stepping foot on the field. It makes you miss it. So I was really appreciative of getting to do that again. I felt like I was back in middle school and high school, just having fun. Very thankful. But it only lasted for, a day or so. And I finally kind of realized, hey, we got a real game this week, and I'm going to be actually playing. So I need to dial it in and then just treat it like anything else.
And what I guess, was there anything different prep wise that you did to prepare for? Because I'm sure there had to have been some kind of nerves. It's going to be your first action in a couple of years, your first collegiate game, your first start, all rolled into to one. Kind of how did you go about preparing for that season opener?
Yeah, well, I'll give a lot of that credit to Coach Brenningstool. He kind of gave me a blueprint on how to prepare for a game, film wise, and I followed it because I've never done it before really. So he helped me out so much with that, keeping me calm and just preparing me for the moment. It was really all him. And, he made sure the week went smooth and, got the reps I needed to get and watched correct clips on film. And, it ended up being a pretty good Saturday night that week. And so I give all that credit to him.
And you finished that game. You threw for 4 touchdowns, 12 of 16. I think a buck 92. How good did it feel to not only have that success, but to just be on the field and playing in meaningful games and running an offense and making all that stuff? Like, how good of a feeling was that? Was that for you?
It was an amazing feeling. Had never had, anything quite like that. Um, and I just had so much fun, you know, get out there and I realized I'm playing college football, and there's not many guys that get to say that. And I was very, very thankful and just appreciative of everything kind of around me. It was such a unique kind of experience, and I had kind of had to wait some time to do it, but it was well worth the wait. And it was just lots of gratitude and lots of excitement. Just trying to have so much fun while I was out there.
And did it like what was was it faster than you had anticipated the game? Was there any rush, or did you feel like, given the 2 years in between games, that you went out there and didn't really have a lot of rust?
I thought it was going to take a little bit longer to get adjusted, to be quite honest with you, than it did. But that's credit to the team and the coaches through spring ball and through fall camp. Giving great looks and putting us in great spots and rehearsing the script. That's all them. Preparing me for the game. And I think seeing our defense probably in fall camp and every week is great preparation for any team we're going to play. So I think that's why it might have not taken as long as I thought it was going to take. But that's all due to our coaching staff and our defense for making it like game speed.
And then week two, the number two team came into town, the reigning defending D2 Heisman winner. I know for a lot of us, even to Coach Doyle, he's like, next week is going to be the biggest test. And it was weird if you just saw the box score 57-40 and then saw no one scored in the first quarter. How offensively, how were you all able to score 57 points in 3 quarters against the number 2 team in the country at that time?
Just get hot at the right time, I guess. It was just so I'm not gonna I know I watched Gabe's the other day and Gabe was like, no, I wasn't surprised. I was surprised. I mean, I didn't know really what to expect. And for stuff to just be coming open and for, running lanes to just be being created like that. And especially the first quarter went by and I was like, you know, we're going to try to have to win this game like 21-14. Their defense was pretty stout. And then there was just a couple plays in there where we got a little bit of momentum and just kind of rode that out the whole game. And our coaching staff did such a good job in the game plan that week. It was just flawless. And I was out there and I mean, I don't even know what I'm doing. I mean, I do know what I'm doing, but I don't even, it's just like, I don't even really know how to explain it. I'm trying to, think of a way to explain it. But, all I'm thinking is, why not? Like, why not throw another one deep? They're the number 2 team in the country. Is everybody's probably picked us to lose by a couple scores. Like, we got to go shoot our shot. And we just start, moving the ball down the field time after time. And then you kind of catch stride. And then you get to about the fourth quarter and you think, I don't know if they're going to stop us one time. It was just an awesome game. And that was, the most fun game of my football career, I think, ever. Just not knowing what to expect going in the game, just thinking anything can happen. Why don't we just go shoot our shot and see what happens? And for something like that to happen was special.
And I have to ask about that first touchdown, that throw you had to Schumann, because I'm not gonna lie, I did not know where you were going with that, and I just saw the ball fly, and then I saw Aston make the catch, he made a move. Obviously, he dragged the defender in for the touchdown, and the crowd went crazy. Kind of walk me through that play there, and how you were able to get that ball in that fairly tight window to Aston.
Yeah, it was a kind of a double move play. And it was just man coverage across the board. But we had more space to the field. And it's just, you got more room to miss over there. As a quarterback, it's kind of what I think. And when I saw Shoe take off on him, that corner had his back to me. And when the corner's got your back to you, they can't see the ball. So then there's even more room to miss. And obviously you never want to miss. But, you try to take calculated risks and whatnot. And I knew the corner can't see me. If I just throw it anywhere over him, it's probably going to be a completion. And Shu did such a great job going up to get it, and the second effort to get into the end zone. And that was kind of when the spark started, I think, for the game. And, he was the first one that, really got us started. And, he kept making plays throughout the game, and kind of just rode that out.
You mentioned taking calculated risks. How do you go about deciding when to do that, where to do that, how to do that? What kind of goes into that decision?
It's a lot of knowing your receivers and knowing, who likes to go up for a ball or who likes to catch a ball back shoulder, or who maybe is not a jump ball guy. Maybe I got to lead this guy out there. So knowing your receivers, for one, for sure. But two is more just having thousands of reps over my lifetime, probably. And over time, you got to figure out what you can get away with and what you can't. And sometimes, you still try something, you don't quite get away with it. But it's just taking so many reps and seeing, I can make this throw, or I probably can't. And just developing kind of that sense of feel over years is probably how I'd explain taking calculated risks.
No, when Ian and I caught up with you after that game, I'm not gonna lie, like you look absolutely spent. I was like, there's no way this man's gonna want to talk to us. Like he is gassed, he gave everything he had. What like how were you feeling after that game physically, emotionally? Because it literally looked as if you gave everything you had on that football field that night.
Yeah, well, I hope that's what people think about me after every single game. Um, I'd love to say every single game I give it everything I have till the game's over. But I was just so happy and just in a little bit of a sense of shock. Um, Never having played, I'd played one college football game, and for that to be my second, I don't think many people can say that that's the case. Um, just lots of shock and lots of you know we're very thankful we present the opportunity to do that and just proud of my teammates. But 5-10 minutes after the game, you're all pumped up and I go talk to my dad and my dad's just like, hey, you played great, but it's time to go on to the next. And that's just that's how you got to approach it.
And you threw the ball 54 times in that game. I gotta ask, like, how was your arm after that? Because you only threw 16 the week prior, so 54 is a massive uptick in that. Like, was the arm feeling sore? Were you feeling good? Like, did you have 54 more passes in you? Like, how were you feeling?
Well, I'm sure if we were to keep playing, I probably could have had 54 in me. And sure, hour after the game, I felt like I could still be playing right now. Next day, a lot of time in treatment. A lot of time in treatment, probably 3 hours, trying to get ready to go for the next week. So that all that adrenaline goes away pretty fast.
And the next game was your first road game against Kearney. Now, in the previous year, we had not beat the team with the winning record on the road. So I remember Coach Doyle saying like this was going to be a massive test for us, and we wanted to get where we wanted to go. We have to win meaningful road games, and the win did you zero favors. I know the win was very brutal up there, but that first road game as a starter, what was that experience like for you?
Yeah, it was a great experience, and you know what a great team and place to play as your first road start. Tough conditions, wind blowing. Um, Great football team. Nebraska Kearney is athletic, especially on defense, and they're coached well, and they have dudes on defense. And that was kind of the first adversity of the year. Playing road games is tough, especially in this conference. And it's never, if we leave a road game with a win, that's all that matters. It doesn't matter if it's pretty or not. So getting that first bit of adversity, turn the ball over a couple times and maybe stall out a little bit on offense, but then being able to put a couple drives together at the end to score a couple times and cap the game. That's what I ended up taking from the game. I tried to take positives. So I was really proud of our guys, and it was a tough place to play against a great football team. So as far as first road experience, it's not going to get much better or much tougher than Nebraska Kearney last year.
I'm gonna ask, yeah, because you had two picks in that game. Like you said, you were able to overcome that. How kind of were you able to move past those turnovers and still, when push come to shove, execute the offense at a high enough level for you all to win that football game?
Just trying not to do too much because oftentimes every football player, I think when you try to do too much is when you get in trouble. Um, and maybe that game I'm trying to do too much, and I just kind of just realized, well, hey, we're not going to score if I'm trying to be Superman. I need to just hand the ball off when it needs to be handed off. Keep the ball safe, and we'll come out with a win. And just trying to execute each play at a time, I think is what ended up being the deciding factor.
Now, I think if I recall, I think that was the game you got like a gnarly face mask. Like if I'm recalling, Your helmet almost got like twisted around. I was genuinely concerned for you because I was like, oh, that did not look good at all. How were you feeling after that occurred?
It was really sore the next day. Um, I Ross Scott took a picture, and my head is completely turned around. And it's a weird looking picture. It looks like it probably broke my neck. But thankfully, that guy decided to grab the face mask because it was 3rd and goal, and I did not score. Um, and so we get an automatic first down and get the score. And so, whatever I got to do, if it's that, I'll do that.
So after that Kearney game, now having the big home win, avoiding the letdown, getting a big road win. What did that do for your confidence? Through three games as a collegiate starting quarterback.
I think it just helped calm the nerves a little bit. The Kearney game showed me I don't have to play perfect for us to win. Maybe I don't even have to play good at all. But if I can do my job, you know, most of the game and try to do it to the best of my ability, maybe try not to do too much, then we can win the football game. And I don't have to go out there and throw for 400 yards and 5 touchdowns, you know, to get a win. I think that kind of helps you as a quarterback knowing it's not, it's not all on you. It's okay to make mistakes, just as long as you don't let them compile. And that gives me confidence knowing, we beat a good team by a couple scores, and I didn't have my best game. So what happens when I put it together and we play good? We're going to be a great football team. So I think that's a good feeling as a quarterback, knowing everybody has your back.
And it's funny you mentioned that because the following week against Fort Hays, I felt like that was the case. You had the 4 first half touchdowns. You've had more touchdown passes than incompletions in that football game. I'm not gonna lie, I have never seen us dominate Fort Hays to that degree. I feel like it was a 49-10 game at one point in time. What was working for you all offensively, especially in that first half, being able to it seemed like just score in bunches there.
Yeah, just reps during the week. Um, but a lot of they were very passionate about that game, and I say they because I have not played in the conference before. And I know the year before Fort Hays, shut them out, cold game, rough game. And I'm like, I got no idea what that was like. Um, I'm motivated. I want to win, but you guys are motivated because last year was no fun. So everybody else was like super, super fired up for the game. And I'm like, I'm not even, wasn't even here last year, got no idea what it was like. I'm just going to go try to play good. So when everybody comes out really fiery like that, you can't help it but to try to match them. And obviously, TD just did what he does that night, and it just felt like everything was working. They gave a lot of man coverage looks, and we tried to exploit that, and did such a good job in the run game too. Very motivated against their pass rush. They had a great pass rush, and I know our guys were very determined to shut that down, and they did such a good job doing that. I think everything just pieced together that night. It was just kind of like a perfect storm.
And I know you're not a numbers guy, but were you surprised to learn you had more touchdown passes in that game than you did incompletions?
I was, yeah, that was a cool stat. Probably one I've never had before. Um, but and again, it only lasts for 10 minutes or however long after the game. It's just you try to not get caught up in that stuff because it is really easy to get caught up in that stuff, especially when you've never done it before. But you just try to just move focus to the next game, and but I was pretty proud of that stat.
And the Missouri game from a completion percentage, which is going to be weird to say, it was your worst on the young season, even though you still completed 60% of your passes. Um, what like how were you able to be so efficient when we're throwing the ball probably roughly 30-35 times a game, and you're completing for the vast majority high 70s, mid 70s, low 70s, high 60s? How are you able to be so efficient despite the pass attempts?
That's all credit to I'll say Coach Curley. He puts me in really good spots to complete the football, and when everybody on offense is kind of on the same page about where the ball needs to go, at what spot, that makes it easy on me. And there are going to be games where the completion percentage is going to be less than 50. It's just going to happen. It's football. But when you're able to complete, 70+% of your passes, that's a really good mark. And that's an easy way to like kind of judge where you are as an offense. And I think Coach Curley really does such a good job by that, by creating new ways to get playmakers the ball quick, and not having to rely on a deep shot to have that completion percentage. Those happen, maybe later in the game after they're developed. But he just does such a good job putting me in a good spot to get the ball to playmakers, and let them do their thing.
And then against Northwest, that might have been the worst that the ground game was at that point in time in the season. And you still were able to put up 41 points. You threw for 551 and three touchdowns. I remember seeing you after the game. I think I was like finishing up talking to Delso, and I remember Coach Droll was going over and talking to you, was just like, "Hey, we did a good job." And I remember like it almost looked like it looked like you were pissed, to be honest. Like it looked like you weren't really happy. I'm sitting there like this man threw for over 450 yards and three scores against one of the best defenses in the country. What kind of were you feeling after that game where the majority of your teammates were overjoyed? I felt like you were stewing over the 11 passes that you didn't complete that day.
Yeah, well, that's probably my fault. I should never like show that on my face after a win. A win is a win regardless. But we had a couple plays called, and I was told, the ball does not need to go here. You need to go to someone else with it. And I think I did it 4 times in the game. It was like I was like a child. You tell them no, and they still do it. They won't listen. Um, and I thought that was a little uncharacteristic of myself, and I don't even know why it happened. They look open on the field, and they're not. Um, and that's probably a little frustrated about that. But I was very happy to come out of that game with a win, because they were a really good football team.
Yeah, I didn't take it as a bad thing. If anything, I'm pretty sure I said on the podcast, I was like, if anything, this is testament to the man's want and will to be great. Because if this man does this against Northwest and he's still not, well, from visibly what I could see, was still mad about the place that he missed. Like we're in very good hands, because the majority of people would be like, I'll worry about that come tomorrow or whatnot. But like you immediately recognizing that, I've seen people like that's different. Like not everybody's going to do that. So when I saw that, I was like, all right, Jet's a different cat. Like we're going to be in good hands here. Like we're going to be in really good hands. And I recall you saying after that game too that like that was the test. Obviously you all passed that test, but now beating two really good teams in Fort Hays and Northwest, big tough physical defenses. What did that do for you all's confidence there heading into the back half of the season?
Yeah, I mean, it shot it through the roof. Probably a little too much at times. But when you show that you can do it against teams like that, makes you think, why can't we do this against, every team? And I think there's good to that, and I think there's bad to that. I think, you need to stay process driven and not think, well, we're dominating on offense in these big games, so we'll do that every game. That's the standard. Well, the standard is give your best every day. It's not throw for 450 yards. Um, so I think it's good to have like that confidence that you can like build off of it, but I don't think it's you need to look at it maybe a box score and see, yeah, this is what needs to be done. And you just need to stay, process driven and just focus on winning the game. But it did give us a lot of confidence. We could do this, against anybody.
And I feel like that was also evident the following week against Northeastern State. Now, I was not surprised it was a game. I said this the whole time. The NSU was vastly improved. But you all, at one point, after trading blows, had got down by 24, I believe it was, late in that first half. And I thought at the end of that half, you all were just going to kind of run it out, get in the half, and regroup. You led that touchdown drive. You had to pass to Madison. Talk about how you were able to after kind of a sluggish go offensively, have success on that drive, and what did that do for you all offensively heading into the second half of that football game?
Yeah, well, I kind of figured, if we don't score on this drive, it's going to be real tough. You were down, I think it was 41-14 or something like that, and 2 minutes left. I figured if we don't score here, game's not over, but they're in a situation where they can run clock and whatnot. And I'd already made so many mistakes. It was just like, why not just try to rip it around and see what happens. And receivers making great plays, O-line protecting up front, and Ridgeway, Big Unk, making a big play, there to help the team out. And that was a good spark for the comeback.
And then offensively in the second half, what kind of changed for you all there? Because it went from really after that second touchdown prior to Madison's, there was like a lull. But the second half, I feel like the majority of drives ended in points. What kind of was the key difference for you all from that first half to the second half?
Yeah, just an improvement in focus, really. And there was no excuse for the first half, and I put a lot of that on my shoulders. But we just knew we weren't playing to the standard that needed to be played to. And, we're trying to worry about, are we going to win the game? How about we worry about this drive or this play? And I'm just trying to remind the guys, hey, we're not going to win the game in one play. We got to execute this play right now, and then the next one, and then the next one, and then turn it into a drive, and then the drive will turn into points. But it's not going to happen all at once. You can't get it back in one play. I think when we started to maybe take it a little bit slower as far as like a thought process and just focus on one play at a time, that's kind of how we regrouped and were able to put together those scoring drives, as compared to the first half when we just got down so quick. We're just trying to get it all back in one play. And when I say we, I mean me, really. I can't sugarcoat it. I just try to slow things down a little bit and, just play better football.
And what did kind of leading that comeback, getting that win, that big rivalry that went on the road, like what did that do for you personally? Because you admitted that that it wasn't your best game. A lot of the mistakes were on you, but being able to overcome that still helped lead the team to win. Did you learn anything about yourself? Did it do anything for you? Like how kind of were you feeling after the fact?
Yeah, I thought, I proved something to myself that day. Just adversity like that, I had never faced it in a football game like that. Sure, maybe in high school, I mean, we've been beat bad a couple times and I hadn't played good, but those games get away from me quick and they're not winnable. But to know that we were always in it, if I just, screwed my head back on tight and maybe clean up the mistakes or just put the ball in play, and to go do that and show myself that I can, overcome mistakes and just take it slow and just play good football. it shows, it shows myself a lot, just the confidence that you can bounce back, from mistakes.
I feel I'm going to ask. I think when I talked to Montreal and I think it was Wesley, they mentioned that amongst the celebration in the locker room, there were some people that were eating fruit snacks. Now I felt obligated to ask: were you among the group that was eating the fruit snacks, or were you among the group that was celebrating?
I was celebrating. I It's not easy. It's not easy to win football games, and I don't. So we do take it for granted. We really do. Um, and that was one of those games where you can't take it for granted. Because maybe I did the week before against Northwest. Like we said, I got done with the game and I was a little frustrated or whatever. But next week, you win a game like that, come back down however many points and win it late. You can't take it for granted. So I was just trying to have a good time in there, celebrate with teammates, and celebrate with my parents. I was not eating fruit snacks, not after the game. I will at halftime.
Okay, now, so now, because I know Wesley was saying, when Wesley was a game, someone said that they rotate between the Rice Krispies and the fruit snacks at halftime. Now, are you always a fruit snack guy to have, or do you change it up?
Rice Krispies is the way to go. I If they have those, I'll have them. And Gatorade. Those are like, uh, you know, those two together. It makes me feel like I can play, all day long. So definitely Rice Krispie guy.
Okay, now is there a specific flavor of the Gatorade? Does it matter? Like what are we picking?
Oh, it does not matter. Just as long as it's not like the cucumber one. Um, those are terrible. Those are terrible. As long as it's not that one, it doesn't really matter.
Okay, and now what is it about the Rice Krispie treat makes it the best option over say the fruit snacks?
Well, the I feel like fruit snacks get stuck to your teeth a lot easier. And people will say that about Rice Krispie treats, but that's not true. They do not get stuck to your teeth. Not really. Um, I don't know. I'm sure fruit snacks work. I'm sure I've had them at halftime. But usually Rice Krispie treats first thing I see, and I should go ahead and take that. And I mean, it works. So I'm just stick to that.
Okay, okay, fair enough, fair enough. I think Wesley was saying he'll rotate between the Rice Krispies and the granola bars. But I feel like I think Gabe said he pretty much just sticks to fruit snacks. So I think you're the first person so far just as if they really stick to the Rice Krispies. Okay, fair enough. I mean, you can't really beat a good Rice Krispie treat. So okay, fair
Yeah.
enough. Fair enough. Uh, and so following up that game, you all had the much anticipated home game against Pitt. Now it didn't go you all's way, but I remember talking to you all after the game, and you all were in my opinion, we're in a good headspace given the circumstance. How were you all able to not really let that loss kind of deter the rest of the season and be able to just say, well, it wasn't our day today, but we still have a lot to play for, and we can't let this kind of drag on for the rest of the season.
I think the main reason why people felt that way is because we played a great football game, offense and defense. Um, were we perfect on offense? No. Did we have a great completion percentage? No. But we moved the ball a lot. We scored in a big moment. Um, Passing game looked great. And, the running game was, they clogged the box, and that's what opened up the passing game. If we don't run the ball as good as we do weeks prior, we can't pass the ball like that against a team like that. And just knowing that, like, they're a really good football team, and they were just better than us that day. And there's no way around that. There's no excuses. There's no, this reason or that reason. They just beat us. Did we beat ourselves? I really didn't think so. I thought we played a pretty good football game. It just, ball and bounce our way. and that's how we felt, and then we just decided to move on from it.
And because I remember, I'm like, well, we'll learn a lot, because last time we had lost to Pitt, and we were like 5-2 in 2022. We had lost 3 straight, and I'm like, well, I hope we don't do that now, because we still have a chance to share the conference. Worst case, if we win out. And so I said Missouri Western was going to be a big game. Now, I did not expect the weather that was down there in St. Joseph's. Now, from a weather standpoint, was that the worst conditions that you played in so far? Have you played in anything worse than that?
No, that was by far. I'd never played in rain before in my life. Not Pee Wee ball, not middle school, not high school. I had never played a game in the rain, so it was as bad as I've played in for sure.
And so then, by that nature, then that was also your first weather delay. What was your experience like during that weather delay? What did you do to kind of stay loose, kind of stay engaged during that time you all were just stuck inside the locker room?
Well, I thought it came at the most unfortunate time, because I felt like right before the weather delay, we started to finally play some pretty good football. I know we scored, we were getting a stop, and I felt like we had a chance to kind of break the game open a little bit, maybe. And I was in a great headspace. And the weather delay was tough. We went in there, just tried to, stay engaged and just talk over the script and whatnot, and just stay loose and get ready to go back out. But I felt like we were in there for hours. It really did.
And I give Missouri West the credit, because they came out of that weather delay, and it was like a whole different football team. I'm sitting there like, well, where did this come from? But it got kind of dicey there late. I'm like, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I know we came back against Northeastern State, but like this is a vastly different scenario, vastly different set of circumstances. And after Kobe broke that 92-yard punt return, I was like, okay, we have a chance in this football game. And then David makes that massive hit. Now I have to ask, did you at first think they were gonna throw the flag for targeting on that? Because David said he thought for sure they're gonna call the flag.
I mean, I sure did. And as a quarterback myself, if you hit a quarterback that hard, it's usually a flag. It really is. And I'm so thankful that because I think they did throw the flag, but I think they picked it up. If I'm correct, I'm really thankful they took a second look at it, because it's pretty easy to throw that flag. And I know all the targetings have to be reviewed, but what a good rule that is, because if you don't have to review it, that's getting thrown. It's not getting picked up. I did think it was going to be a targeting, though.
Yeah, I remember David was like, I'm about to get chewed out by Coach Pearson. But yeah, it went out in our favors. I was like, oh crap, well, here's a targeting, and then they picked. I was like, I'll take it, because I did not expect us as the road team to get the call, but I'll take it. I'm not gonna question anything. And so now after that point, though, Dawson comes in the game there to finish it off. Obviously, as a competitor, you never want to not be on the field in those situations. But how did you go about handling it and supporting Dawson in that time as he tried to go tie the game and then try to win the game in overtime?
Yeah, I mean, I try to treat him just how he treats me. I mean, every time in a game I was struggling, he's right next to me, showing me the film, pat me on the butt, saying, hey, just, stay loose, go out and get it next time. I told him the exact same thing. Knowing, he's going to be, he's going to go lead a game-winning drive, and we're going to get out of this thing with a win. Trying to stay engaged, and yeah, I mean, it was disappointing for sure. But trying to boost his confidence too, to go lead a game-winning drive, and that's exactly what he did.
And then after you all won that game, you went into Washburn. If you won that, you got to share the first ever MIAA championship. Like what? How what kind of was the vibe in the locker room that week heading into that game? Like, did you all feel the weight of that scenario? Was it bearing down on you? Do you feel like you all kind of handled it well that week? Like, what was that like?
I really do think we handled it well. And I know it was a close game, but every team in this conference is good, no matter the record. It just so happens that somebody's got to win each week. And Washburn had a great game plan. But I think we went in focused, ready to go, knowing that was a possibility. Yes, we might, get a share of the conference championship this week, but not like a deer in the headlights, to the point where that's the only thing we're focused on. We were just trying to win a football game.
Yeah, I mean, because I remember when I previewed Washburn, they had like 5 or 6 losses by 7 points or less. The really small, margin, and in this conference, I mean, we've been on the other side of that before in 2021 off some close games. 2023, we had some close losses. So, like, it's very easy to be on the flip side. People think, dang, it's only a 2-win team. But I was like, nah, because it's their senior day on top of it. So, like, they're going to give us everything that they have. And I give them credit. They did, and they nearly won that football game. But once that kick was blocked, what kind of were the emotions going through your head at that point? Like, oh, we just clinched a share of the conference championship for the first time in program history.
Yeah, it was awesome, and everybody reacted just about how you would think. But again, it didn't last very long because we knew that it was only a share of it, and everybody wanted to have the outright, because outright's cooler, of course. You don't want to ever have to say you shared a championship with somebody. Um, so, but yes, it was a great vibe in the locker room. But it just made everybody want to work harder the next week, I think.
Yeah, because that's kind of the message I got when I talked to the guys after that game. They were like, I mean, this is cool and all, but like we kind of want the whole thing. And so when I was walking to through the tailgate for Emporia, they were asking me like, well, do you think we're gonna get the team we saw in the first half of the season or the team like the past couple of weeks? Because Coach Dora had even said he felt like a weight was lifted off of you guys after that Washburn game because you all were trying so hard to do something that had never been done before. And I was like, well, if what Coach said is true, I imagine they're going to come out loose and play the way they had the first half of the season. And that was the case because I'm not going to lie to you. I mean, you all just I was surprised it got that bad against Emporia. But like, what kind of was the vibe going into that game? Was it more loose than it was against Washburn, or was there any difference there?
No, everybody was just so much more loose. We're just trying to go out and have fun. I know the last couple of weeks we'd just been playing a little tight, maybe not quite up to our standards. And I do think there was a little bit of a weight lifted off our shoulders after Washburn. And I just think everybody was just so loose and just ready to go have fun next week against Emporia.
And when you all got handed that trophy, you were finally able to hold that trophy. I like looking back, because that time previous year, you weren't even seeing snaps. So to go from that to now a conference champion, what did that moment mean to you?
Yeah, it was special. It was a special year, and I know that in maybe the previous couple years, they'd been pretty close to 500, and to see the drastic change in 1 year because of a collective group effort by some great guys, and to be there, firsthand and witnessing it, just a really special feeling. Really thankful, and very proud, very proud. Just proving it to ourselves, really, that it can be done.
And for you personally, going from not playing to now, playing, helping this team win a conference championship, like how much validation did you get from that? knowing that, okay, not only can I play at the collegiate level, but I can play at a high enough level to help a team win a conference championship?
It gave me a little bit of validation. But the more you play, that stuff kind of goes away. It's just like after the first couple games, it's like, okay, yeah, I'm playing college football now. Like, we don't have time to be happy because we're out here anymore. Which could very well be the reason for the, maybe the struggles in late season. Just now I'm maybe trying to treat it more as like, okay, I need to go out and do this every game instead of just trying to have fun. And that could very well be the case. But I think part of that kind of goes away and you just want to do more now. It's like, you feel good because you were a big part of it, but you just want to keep winning and keep building. And so that stuff is definitely momentarily, and it's more of like a motivator, I would say, than it is, I feel validated.
And it's unfortunate at this level because I felt like we didn't really have time to necessarily celebrate that because the following week you had a playoff game. And I know Dawson had started the Emporia game. He got hurt in that Emporia game. And so you started the pretty much the biggest game in the past 20 years. And I was asked again, like, okay, if Jett is starting, what do you think we're going to get? And I'm like, well, to me, if Jett plays the way we know Jett can play, and he's not forcing the issue, then we'll be fine. And you went out there, threw for 371, three touchdowns. You led the overtime win there. You had first. I got to ask, starting that game, was there like did you feel the need to have to prove yourself again at that point, or were you just like, I'm gonna just go out here and play the best I can, and we'll just let the chips fall where they may?
To be quite honest, in the first half, it was I need to prove myself again. Uh, I'm more aware than anybody that the previous 3 weeks, I guess not really Emporia, but the 2 weeks previous to that was not a good showing by me and just not playing good football. Or not playing like I know I could play. And it was just unacceptable to me. And so the first half of the, Watchtower game, I felt like I had to go out and I had to be Superman. I had to prove to everybody there, all the teammates, all my coaches, that I was still that guy. And it obviously didn't work. We struggled in offense in the first half. And when you get in that type of mentality is when you struggle. When you feel like you need to do more than you really do, that's when you struggle in football. So we get into halftime, and I just think, I'm either going to be the reason we come out and win or we come out and lose. I threw a bad interception. I'm missing throws, missing reads, trying to do too much. Felt like exactly what I was doing the 2 weeks before that. So in the second half, I said, okay, just go out and just try to have a little bit of fun, put together a couple good drives. Let's go see what happens and just play football. So I think it was definitely a tale of two halves. And then in the second half, I come out, felt a lot more calm, made a couple throws here, got some momentum going. And then fourth quarter, I felt, as good as I have all season, and just felt back to normal again, just because I wasn't trying to press that issue. I wasn't trying to prove that all those people up in the stands that, yeah, I can still play. I'm still here. I was just trying to, score points. So definitely, that was the difference in those two halves.
And that drive you had in the fourth to give us the lead, I believe, at that point where you found Delso for the touchdown. Kind of talk about how you were able to effectively move us down the field and get that score in that high pressure situation.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of good play calls by Coach Curley, and everybody on offense making plays, and O-line, great protection. But a little bit knowing that, if we don't score, this is our last game of football of the year. And nobody wants to be done ever. So, thought I got to come out here with my hair on fire. Let's drive and be razor sharp, if we're going to live to play another week.
And then you were able to score in overtime, and then you were able to the defense came and they got the sack on fourth down. After that, though, now knowing the gravity of what that win was, there was a lot of tears in the press box. I think Chris Brannick was holding it back, something fierce. Like knowing you played a part in that win that maybe some people didn't think they'd ever see, some people that saw it before maybe not see it again. Like looking back on that though, what does that moment mean to you? Having that game, that drive, getting that win. What does that mean to you?
Yeah, I mean, it means everything to me because it just felt like there's a weight lifted off my shoulders. I was so upset over playing, poorly in the previous weeks. And you kind of get into a groove where you just feel like you can't do anything right, unfortunately. And that happens in every sport. And to climb out of that and to go win a big playoff game, that gives me a lot of confidence just in myself. But, also the team did an amazing job at, sticking together, sticking to the script, not trying to do too much and just playing one play at a time to be able to finish out a game like that.
And then if Missouri Western the weather was bad, I feel like what you all got at Ferris was significantly worse. Now I'm talking to other people, they're talking about like the receivers, they couldn't get any grip, any traction. For you, like that's your first snow game. I'm sure the first time in that kind of elements. What were some of the challenges just from a weather standpoint?
Yeah, I mean the whole field had snow all over it, and it was packed down in there too. I mean, it was like, I felt like I was running on glass. You couldn't put cleats in the ground. I mean, your hands are just frozen. And what the worst part was, every time you hit the ground, you got icy. Well, I always need to dry my hands off, and I go to reach for my towel, and my towel's completely iced over. My hands get even more wet than they already were, and that's when you get really cold. When my toes are numb, my fingertips, I feel like fingertips are about to fall off. And my nose is cold, your ears are cold, and you got to learn from it. I mean, maybe if it happens again, I don't know how much more you can prepare for that. I mean, I wore about 3 layers, top and bottom. But you learn maybe how to cut in the grass different or grip the ball different. I mean, you just gotta learn and then kind of grow from that, because you do want to see them again. You want to be faced with a challenge like that again, and present yourself a little bit better than you did the time before.
Yeah, I mean, I felt like it just because it was close. I felt like that whole first quarter it was closed as back and forth, and then by them being used to the elements, them playing at home. Once they was able to get up by a couple of scores, it got out of hand. But I felt like that wasn't indicative of the season, and so I felt like that I was like, yeah, okay, sure, the loss is bad. We got to look. We were 5-6 at home this time last year, and here we are in a second round playoff game as MIAA champions. And you mentioned, like, obviously you weren't there the previous year. So for you didn't really have, the I won't say the context, but that experience. But your teammates going from that to conference champs, knowing you helped them, especially those seniors, end on a high note, does that mean anything to you though, knowing you were able to help those guys in their careers on a very high note?
Oh, it means so much to me. I want to see all my teammates succeed and be happy. And maybe a conference championship means something different to me because I was not here. But for these guys, some of them went through 5 years of, maybe in and out of wins to this past year, winning 11 games and seeing their reactions every week. When we start winning more and more games, it was special. Just to see the look on their face after a couple of those games.
And I know you're not a numbers person, but I have to go over the numbers here. You threw for a school record 3,586 yards, school record 34 touchdowns. You set a school record 272 completions, single game record of 42 completions versus Central Missouri. You tied the TD record with 5 against Fort Hays. You had 2 400-plus yard games, 4 300-plus yard games, 250-yard-plus games twice. And then you also were second team all MIAA. You were honorable mention All-American. I know you told me before that the numbers don't necessarily mean a lot to you, but like for your first season starting, you accomplished all that. Did that meet your expectations? Did it exceed your expectations? Like how do you feel about how your first season as a collegiate starter went?
I think it was awesome because we won a lot of games. I know it's probably not the answer you're looking for, but everything on top of a win is a bonus. And I had no expectations coming into the year. And I think that's why it made it so special. And I think that's why I appreciated being out there so much because I had nothing to compare it to. So the expectations blew them out of the water because I had none. But you maybe you sit back maybe at the end of the year and I try to be proud a little bit of what we did this year. And, numbers and stuff are great. But, all the numbers are misleading because I didn't throw touchdowns myself. I throw touchdowns at TD and Ashton Schumann, Jake Delso, and Ridge, and Chris Romero, and Cottrell. Like, without any of those guys, it never happens in the O-line. So I think numbers are a little misleading. Obviously, everybody wants to have good numbers, but they don't mean – you should have absolutely zero validation in numbers at the end of the day. As long as you win the game, that's what matters. So I was just proud to be a part of a winning football team and go do what we did.
And now the challenge is to now stay at that level, now going from the hunters to being the hunted. And I felt like there was a unique opportunity for you all this spring, playing another team for a spring game instead of playing against each other. I thought offensively, given you all only played a quarter, you scored on 2 of the 3 drives. How do you feel like spring went for you overall, and how do you think the spring game went for you as well?
I think it went really good. We learned a lot. Spring is such like a learning phase. You don't try to be perfect. It's almost like an experiment. You see stuff and maybe you try to get away with some new stuff and you put in new plays and run routes differently. It's just like it's a good time to just try things out because at the end of the day, there's not like a result at the end of the spring. I know we played a game, but more talking about practice. But I thought we were really smooth as an offense, and the spring game went great. We played I don't know how many plays, like 15 or something like that. But I think in the couple of drives we got, we were pretty smooth and we looked pretty good.
Yeah. I know some were really surprised about how sharp you look with the revamped receiving unit that you had at that time. Yeah, I think you had the touchdown that the hacker. Kind of talk about like how that's coming along building chemistry with those guys because there is some turnover in that receiver room.
Yeah, well, we spend so much time, on the field right now, and we're a really deep room. We have a lot of guys that are good football players, and we have options out there. But you're going to see some guys maybe you haven't seen before come step up and play a big role. Like you said, Hagen's room is right there, actually, right behind this wall. And every single day, me and him are out there talking ball, or we just got back from the field like before I got on here. Um, you know, I he's going to be one of those guys this year. And like CJ Williams, you saw him in the spring game. He had a big, route catch down the field. He's going to be one of those guys, and he's still young. You're going to see Ashton Schumann, get even better than he was last year. He is a great football player. You saw in the spring game, Christian Valeriano. That's another guy, a long, tall, fast kid. And we get additions of, Javon Thomas transferred in from JUCO. We got Tyke transferred in from Oklahoma State. We got Jackson Lamanek transferred in from Drake. It's just like all these guys come here and they're ready to learn the offense, and they want to get better and play a big part of the team. And I think you will see more guys this year come in and play a big part in the offense.
I guess my final football related question for you though, what are you hoping to improve on, build upon, heading into this upcoming season?
Well, I want to get rid of some of the turnovers for sure. Especially late in the year, get a little sloppy. Now you're never going to get rid of all of them. Like, it's football. I'm going to throw interceptions, but limiting the interceptions, I think, is a good way to put it. I mean, you just get, late in the year, like I said, you kind of feel like nothing's going right, and the ball is just not going where you want it to go. So, we gotta clean that up. I'd like to, limit those, and I would like to improve my running. I'm not the fastest guy in the world, but maybe give myself a little bit better chance down the field. I'm not sure how far down the field, but more than I did this past year. And that also helped with not taking sacks and whatnot. But at the end of the day, you just want to keep winning and improving, your role on the offense.
Well, before we get you out of here, we do this with all the new guests, kind of some more get to know you type questions. Now, I normally ask people's favorite sports teams. I think it's like one of the worst kept secrets in the whole program. You are a Kansas City Chiefs fan. Now, I feel obligated to ask. Obviously, the Super Bowl didn't go as you wanted. How bad did your teammates rub it in your face that the Chiefs lost that game?
Oh, it was bad because year before I'd only been here for a month, and we won the Super Bowl, and I let them know. So they definitely let me know pretty good. This year it's not fun.
And so what is it about the Chiefs that makes you a Chiefs fan?
Yeah, my dad grew up in Missouri, about 2 hours from Kansas City, and he was always a Chiefs fan. And so when I was growing up, all I saw was Kansas City Chiefs, and I decided to take on that path of life when I was just a little kid. And it was like a crypto investment. Like it paid off pretty good, 15 years later.
Yeah, I was gonna say because there was definitely some dark days there in Kansas City. I had the first overall pick at one point, so I know it was not always sunshine and roses. So
yeah, and
I give you credit for
the first overall pick didn't
that.
work out. Eric Fisher.
I mean, I feel like he was a solid starter, though. He wasn't an all pro, but
No, he was solid. He was solid.
Is it okay now? Do you have a favorite quarterback as you enjoy watching?
It's Pat Mahomes, but Baker Mayfield's definitely second. A little bit, I can relate to Baker Mayfield a little bit more as far as stature and whatnot. But he's still, yeah, he's a stud. I've always been a Baker guy.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, well, that's okay. Okay. Let's see. Okay, your favorite hobby outside of football?
It's golf.
Golf. Okay. Now, would you say you're among the best golfers on the team? Is there anybody better than you? You think like where do you kind of stack up there?
Trying to be a humble guy. I'm the best golfer on the team. Right now, it's not even close. And I have played everybody that has said they're better than me, and nobody's been within 10 strokes so far. So it's me until I'm dethroned, and I want to be dethroned so I can get it back. But yeah, right now, I've got the belt.
So now, what is it about golf that you really enjoy? Is it just like the simplicity of it, the quietness? Like, what is it about golf?
Well, I love being outside, but golf is so interesting because you really fail like more than you do good. Like you don't hit perfect shots every time, but every round there's like 2 or 3 shots that make you want to come back. And it's just it's a great game. But you can spend time with your buddies, outside, and it's relaxing. It's a good way to get my mind off football.
Okay, fair enough. That was a golf. Even though I was the person to break more tees or anything, it still was a fun experience though. Let's see. Okay, do you play video games at all?
I do a little bit. I play a little PGA, like golf on the 2K, but I have an old Xbox, so I can't play any of the Madden games or the 2K or the basketball games. So I just stick to golf really, but I haven't been gaming as much as I used to. So.
Okay, now when you say old Xbox, like how old we talking here though? Like 360, original Xbox One? Like how old are we talking?
I have an Xbox One. I guess it's not that old, but like it's old enough to where you can't play the new gen like console games. So I miss out on a lot of video game time because I don't have 2K25. I can't even get 2K23. So
I mean, I feel like Xbox is decently priced now. Especially around holiday season. I'm sure you could upgrade now. I mean, you don't have to be left out here now. I mean,
but it's a double-edged sword because right when I get it, it's just like then I'm going to be playing Xbox all day. So is it making me better? I don't know if it's making me better. So trying to win football games,
Okay, now I have to ask because you're one of only a couple of guys that is Team Xbox. So now for you, why are you Team Xbox over a PlayStation or PC?
I bought my Xbox off of a friend like 4 years ago, just because it was available. I'm not getting in this. There's no preference. I'm just gonna be honest. I hardly know the difference. I know the buttons are different, but like I don't. Both work. Both have games on them, so I don't think there's. Some of them are good. Some people are gonna be mad at me for it, but I don't know the difference. Sound like my dad.
I said, the older you get, trust me, the more you will sound like your father. So just, just know more that is coming. So I said, but I think, so. I think it's you, it's Coach Doro, it's Coach Curley, is it Gabe? And I thought there's somebody else that's Xbox so far. So I mean, it's more than it has been. I'll give them that. I'll give them
Yeah.
that. Okay. Yes. Okay. Your favorite food.
Probably crawfish. Growing up in, I would say southern Texas, somewhat southern Texas, there's crawfish boils every summer, and so you just grow up loving that. Still do.
Okay. What in your opinion makes for a good crawfish boil?
The corn and the potatoes got to be in the crawfish spread. That's one for sure. But I like the spicy crawfish, the seasoning. And people say like for it to be good crawfish, it can't be like it can't be like the limp with the small tail ones. But like you can't really control that. You're not gonna hand pick every single one of them. So I'm not that picky. If it's spicy, good, well seasoned, and the corn and potatoes are mixed in there, and they don't come on the side. Because if they come on the side, it's not gonna be good. If they sit in the juice, I know you know what I'm talking about. You've had crawfish before. I hope.
Okay, now I haven't actually had the crawfish, but I have had the potatoes and corn when it's in with the crawfish and when it's not. And I agree with your statement. It's significantly better when it's in with the crawfish. So that I agree with. Now I have not myself actually had crawfish. And something about it is just like I don't know. I've heard it's good, but it's like visually for me, it's something, and I don't know what it is that like is a turn off. But I will get down on the corn potatoes. I will 100% get down on the corn potatoes. But I do agree it's better if it's in there than it is just on the
Yeah,
side.
you can't eat
at that
it
point. You might as well.
You can't trust it if it's on the side.
Oh, yeah, no.
Yeah,
yeah, I agree. Yeah, that's just. You can't even trust it. Oh, that's great. Let's see. Okay, your favorite musical artist.
Ooh, probably Electric Light Orchestra. I think they're probably the greatest band ever. Jeff Lynne, lead singer.
Okay. Now, do you have a favorite song by them?
Oh, I mean, first one that like comes to mind is Last Train to London, but it's I guess like in the last like year, it's for some reason it's getting popular, probably because like TikTok, and that makes me mad. I don't like when songs get popular on TikTok. But probably Sweet Talking Woman is a great one. Um, man, Dewey is a great one. I mean, All Around the World is a great one. I'd probably those are four good ones. But yeah, I do think that is my favorite. That's my favorite band ever. I guess musical artist. Probably will be for a long time. Metallica is close too, though. I know it's a lot different. But Electric Light Orchestra is on top.
Okay. Now, in terms of the aux cord, now have you been on the aux? Do you just stay off the aux? Like, how do you approach that?
Yeah, I stay off. And there's only a couple guys that get on the aux. And here's what happens: is if you put your phone on the aux and you play music, they'll go take it off. And so there's just not even a point. What are you going to get one song in? You might as well ask them to play it. But Rob is the aux guy, in my opinion. Rob's the best.
Okay. Okay. Now, I'm pretty sure I know the answer to this question, but now, in your opinion, who's the worst?
Lamb. Lamb Gordon.
What everybody everybody says it just without hesitation. Like there's no thought in it. Like it's always Lamb. What what is it about Lamb though? That is just, like just hands down when you ask the worst, he's the first one to come to your mind. Like what is it about the music that he plays that's that bad?
There's no consistency. If you put a song on, we want to hear a song of the similar genre the next song and the one after that. You can't play some rap song foul and then a gospel song next. There's no consistency in what we're playing here. And I don't think he cares, but I care. I don't like that. Um, so we like to keep him off. We keep Rob on.
Oh, that's tough. Yeah, I've heard he plays some weird stuff. Okay, yeah. Everybody says Lamb, so
Questionable.
I, now in terms of gear, now I know you wear a towel. Um, is there anything else besides the towel? Are you just more of a, like I just give me the bare necessities, or are you gonna be like your DBs and your former numbers say JMO and be dressed to the nines? Like, are we're gonna up the gear this year? We're gonna stick to kind of how it has been for you.
No, it's going to stay the same. And people actually ask me this a lot. I don't quite know why. I've tried to like look cool before, whatever cool is. I don't know, and I cannot do it. It just does not work. I look like a fool. Um, and so I just try to wear just the bare necessity. I need a towel and I need like some sweatbands because like I do get really sweaty. But other than that, I can't put much more on. We'll maybe try a couple times here and there. Very superstitious though. So whatever I wear game one, if we play good, I'm wearing it the rest of the year. So
Okay, okay. I was just curious. Now I didn't know because I know JMO also he influences, so we got to keep up appearances and such. But I just know that there's some that's just like I just give me the towel and I don't know, maybe some gloves or something like that, and we call it good. And then you got, I don't want to say the DBs, but you got the DBs that have to have all the bands and it's just like is that necessary? I mean, each their own.
it's a little ridiculous.
Okay.
It's a little ridiculous.
That's it. Okay. Do you have any pregame routines that you normally do?
Nothing out of the ordinary. I mean, but whatever I do, like week one, I'll just have to do it the whole year though. Um, so, but nothing out of the ordinary, not really. Just listen to some music and you know, that's hydrate. I mean, that's really it. I don't do anything, crazy.
Okay. Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. I guess my final question for you is what can UCO fans expect to see out of Jett Huff this upcoming season?
Well, I they can expect a guy that's ready to compete, ready to defend the title, um, and ready to win some games. I mean, I just want to go out and help the offense run smoothly, and help this team win games. And I'm hungry as ever right now, and I want to win as bad as anybody. So you can expect hopefully similar guy to last year, but hopefully even better. And ready to go win some games. That's really it.
Well, Jed, I appreciate you taking time to come on and talk to us. Wishing you the best with luck rest of the off season and the fall camp. And anytime you want to come back on, you're more than welcome to.
Yeah, well, I had a blast. I really appreciate you for you know, giving us this this platform, and I know we all appreciate it. So thank you.